Are you playing D&D right? Probably. Regardless of what people will tell you or what others might think, there is no right or wrong way. There's no correct way to play this game. The only caveat to that would be the right way to play this is the way that everybody has fun, and the wrong way to play it is the way that nobody has fun. And when I say everybody and nobody, I mean at your table. It doesn't matter what the next table over is doing. It doesn't matter how your friend runs their game. It doesn't matter how Matt Mercer and Critical Role run their games, or how Nerdarchy runs their games, or Cody over at Taking 20, or WebDM. These guys all have awesome styles, but that may not be your way of running games. Their players are having fun. Their DMs are having fun. If you and your players are having fun, then you're doing it the right way. So where does this idea of a right and wrong way come from? Well, first of all, I feel that it comes from a combination of media, organized play, greater exposure that's been coming out in the last decade for gaming. All of that mixes in a way similar to how fashion magazines or lifestyle magazines often work on the psychology of people to make them feel like somehow they are inadequate or they're not living up to a potential that's there. Advertising does this all the time as well. In the case of gaming, I don't think that it's intentional. Unlike lifestyle magazines, advertising, fashion magazines, all of those are very concerted, diabolical effort to make you feel shitty about yourself for not having the brightest, whitest teeth, or for driving the right kind of car, wearing the right kind of sandals, vacationing at the right spot, eating the right kind of breakfast cereal, whatever the case may be. They're trying to make you feel crappy enough to where you're going to go out and buy your kids, an expensive toy or the shittiest cereal that's on the shelf just so you can feel better about yourself. In the case of gaming, I think it's accidental. I can't say nobody. There's probably a few people out there in the universe who are trying to manipulate you in some way or another. Who they are, I don't know, but humanity being what it is, there's probably at least one. You often see this with anti-gaming or gatekeeping gaming coverage. There are people out there trying to tell people how to do things the right and wrong way, and trying to make people feel shitty for the way that they run their games or they play their games. Those people are assholes, so don't worry about it. Now, people who are offering you advice or giving you ideas for how to do things are not trying to tell you how to run your game. I do that all the time here. I present to you the way that I do things or my ideas on how people can do things. A lot of this is theory crafting. Many of us talk a good game, and we also play a good game, but the way we play our good game may not necessarily be the way that we theorize about gaming. Because we have our rotes, we have our means, we have our ways that work for us, and we can recognize that there are other ways to do this. This is mentoring, this is advising, this is just sharing ideas. This is not telling you that you're craptastic because you don't run session zeros. It's advisable, but I've run without session zeros forever. My play groups never needed to run session zeros because usually I'm running with people that I know well enough to where I can just say, hey dude, Dragon Mecha? Cool, let's do Dragon Mecha, whatever. And if nobody wants to do Dragon Mecha, they'll just tell me to fuck off. But, so, where does this come from? So, media, Twitch, pop cultural references, YouTube streaming, all of this media that's out there shows us examples of really well done stuff. Now, for every really cool, super polished stream that's out there, there are 5, 6, 10 others that are just a camera set up at a table and people playing their games. Take 20, not to be confused with Taking 20, is one of these. They set up a camera, it sits up there, it's a single camera, looks at their game, and they just play live. Nerdarchy's live plays that they would air were that a camera pointing at a game table and people playing. There are lots of stream games even that use things like Google Hangouts or Roll20, and they're even run through OBS. There's some setup there that still are just people playing games. I ran a game recently, it didn't get streamed, but had it been streamed, it wouldn't have played any differently because it was just a casual game. It wasn't meant to be a streamed game. But the streamed games that shine and stand out, your Critical Roles, your Saber Dices, even like Scarlet Sisterhood, which is one of Nerdarchy's games, they stand out and they set up an example of how things can be. But I feel like some people take that as the way things should be. If you're not playing like Nerdarchy, if you're not playing like Matt Mercer and his crew, you're not playing right. Well, that's wrong. You're just not playing like them. Organized play. I think this is a big one too. Organized play is a matter of right and wrong to a degree because it is organized. It needs to have a set of regulations, a set of standards to allow people to go from table to table, from shop to shop, and play the same characters and not have to re-qualify every time they want to get in on something. So organized play is great. It's a great way for people to get into the game, to try the game out. It adds exposure. But what it has done, I think, is created this environment of right or wrong again, this correct way to play D&D. If you're not playing the way that they do at at the whichever organized play you're in, Pathfinder Society or DM's Guild or whatever it is, you are doing it wrong. And for some people, that could be because that is their only exposure up until they get to a table away from those organized play games. What you don't see is the fact that these people who are at organized play games, many of them have private games at their own tables, and those games are played very differently than the way that they would play at an organized event. Convention games are also another form of organized play, I think, that set up a expectation of a certain style of play. Convention games are set up in a very specific way, and very few of them play the same way that a regular among friends in private at the dinner table, at the breakfast table, in the man cave, the she cave, the whatever cave you have that you're playing in, the bat cave, the bear cave, whatever. Those games at conventions are all very different than the ones that we played separately. If you go around a convention, however, and if you were ever to actually peek into people's rooms or catch those games that are played at those little side tables in the hallways, those are casual games and they're played differently. Add to this all the overall greater exposure of gaming. Back when I started playing and it was something you didn't talk about openly, you got teased, made fun of. Sometimes people tried to save you from your horrible fate at the hands of the devil. There wasn't a lot of exposure about D&D. D&D was sort of that cult thing, not actually a cult, but the thing that people played in small numbers, and they played in libraries and, in living rooms and bedrooms and basements, occasionally at a game store or at conventions, but those conventions were smaller and they were more localized and they just wasn't a general awareness. Now we have the internet. We have 450 billion TV channels, and every sitcom out there seems to want to talk about D&D. We have cartoons that reference D&D. We have cartoons that are based around D&D style play. We have so much saturation and awareness of gaming that I believe this increases this concept of, or even a worry or concern. It may not even actually contribute to the presentation of a right or wrong way, but I think it peaks in the back of some people's heads the idea that there are, or may be, right or wrong ways. There are just better for you or better for them ways. There are not right or wrong ways. I mean, if your way of playing D&D is to play it like baseball, you're really far off from center. But if that's how you play D&D and that's how you have fun and you want to call baseball D&D, well, you're a loss, but technically you're playing it right because you're still having fun. You're not playing D&D. You're just calling it, so you're just calling a different sport something else. But so the other part of the greater exposure comes from how much material there is. Back in the day, we might get a new role-playing game system every couple of years. More than that sometimes. Modules came out for specific games, and supplements came out for specific games. But they were still, mainly you would see them at game stores. So if you didn't go to game stores, you didn't see them. You only saw what your game store carried. Now we have the DM's Guild, we have DriveThruRPG, we have blogs, we have web pages, we have streamers, we have YouTube channels, all of this stuff that is presenting printed material or downloadable material or combinations thereof. We have open gaming licenses, which allow just an explosion of content. We have people designing open source games. This also contributes to this sense of right or wrong. And really, that's understandable. Greater exposure, again, invites doubt. You're seeing so many different ways to play the games, and you're not playing it that way. Are you doing it right? Or you have lots of adventure ideas, and you write adventures in your spare time, but you can never seem to get anything made to the standard that it is on the DM's Guild. Doesn't mean that you're not writing good adventures. Maybe you're just not a writer. Maybe you don't know anybody or don't have the design layout capability. Not everybody has that. Not everybody has access to that. It doesn't make you a substandard D&D player. It just makes you not a publisher. So yeah, I mean, really, going back to the root question, are you doing D&D right? Are you playing D&D the right way? Yes. More often than not, yes. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. You will drive yourself into this downward spiral of depression and just grim feelings of defeat if you do that. Borrow, learn from, watch, study, steal, grab, whatever you can from all these other people and make it your own. That is the right way to play D&D. Your way, the way that you and your table enjoys. If somebody says that that's the wrong way to play, they can go play at their own table. Anyways, this is my thoughts on playing D&D the right way. If you have thoughts and comments, put them on down below. Like, share, and subscribe. You can email me over at baittheelf@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook in the Elfbait group, which I created, of course. And I'm also on Twitter as Elfbait, so you can catch me over there. You can send me a tweet or a message there if that's your chosen social media. But I'm always happy to answer questions, and some of those questions will get answered directly, some of them will get turned into episodes, and some of them will get answered directly and then turned into episodes, or lumped together with other questions to make episodes. Anyways, really appreciate you guys checking these out. I am sorry that have been so scarce lately. Life happens. I wish I had a big Jeff Goldblum, life finds a way. It does. And sometimes it gets in the way. But anyways, I really appreciate it again for you guys checking it out. Get out and game, and have a good one.